Welcome to Skillcast, the podcast by the London Organisation of Skills Development, where skills are the forefront of all conversations. My name is Nurbanu, and I'll be the host for Season 1. Join me as I dig deep and be a little nosy and find out the story behind the skills our expert guests share with us.
Today I'm joined with Charlee. Charlee, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, so I'm Charlee Musiakiewicz. I am a sophomore elementary education major with a minor in research studies from Nova Southeastern University in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Awesome. So what is your research on?
So our research is studying the effects of STEM education on high school females with a large mentorship component.
Cool. So how long have you been doing that for?
So this project has been going on for quite a few years, but I am a new addition to this project. So I've only been doing this project for around 5 months.
Okay, so what were you doing before this project?
Before this project, it was kind of a transitionary period for me. I actually ended up switching my intended career path. So I was kind of just getting my grounding, getting into college, and finding out exactly what I wanted to pursue. And that led me right into this project.
So what were you doing before? What did you initially start studying?
So I initially started studying marine biology. This has been a lifelong passion for me. I grew up in the Jersey Shore, so I've always been surrounded by the water and been fascinated by it. I spent most of my high school career volunteering at an aquarium. So that was, a large part of my experience. And that's actually one component that led to me switching. I intended originally to go into the biological side of it and work in a lab, but I found that working with people and spreading my knowledge and my excitement about the specific subjects was so rewarding, whether it be, an elderly couple coming in for the day and I answered a question for them, or whether it be kids and I'm inspiring, a lifelong passion about marine biology. It was just so rewarding. So that's kind of how I ended up switching into, the science education side of things.
Cool. So you can actually integrate with people. It sounds like you're a typical extrovert. Am I right in saying that?
That's actually a misconception. So yes, this is, I do come off as an extrovert to most, but this is, again, a newer trait for me. I have always been introverted, but in working at the aquarium and working as a mentor for the students on this project, it definitely broke me out of my shell. I think one component of this is just being so passionate about what I'm pursuing that I just can't contain my excitement when I speak to people about it. So I think now that I found exactly what I want to do, it has led me to be a little more extroverted and kind of share my excitement with everybody else.
You sound like me. I'm an ambivert. So
yes.
I can be really social if I want to be, but then there are times when I just want to be alone. Don't look at me. Don't breathe on me. Don't see me.
Yes.
I'm invisible right now.
Yes, I definitely relate to that.
So you say that you're more introverted, but looking at the work that you do, you've become quite extroverted because you get to talk to people whilst they visit the aquarium and you have these small talks with people. What would you say? Would you still call yourself an introvert, or because based on what you've said, just curious now, I'm just being a bit nosy.
I think it depends on what context we're talking about. So I would say in my personal life, I'm definitely an introvert. I like introverted activities. I prefer to spend time by myself. I feel like I need to recharge when I do, have social interactions or anything like that. But when in an academic and professional context, I would definitely say I'm an extrovert. And I think I'm an introvert in my personal life to kind of save up the energy for my professional and, academic pursuits, because it is just so rewarding to make those connections with people, to share your experiences. I think we could just learn a lot from each other, and, bringing that extrovert side out has proved to be so beneficial for me. It has taken me so many places. And if I didn't kind of, flip that switch, the on and off switch between being an introvert and an extrovert, I don't think I would be anywhere close to where I am today. So I think there's a time and a place. And I think for some people like me, it takes a lot more energy to be, kind of extroverted, but it's all worth it in the end, because you create those connections, those relationships that ultimately, push you to have motivation to keep doing it. It's kind of like a snowball effect. Once you're a little bit extrovert, you make those connections, you feel more comfortable, you're exposed to more people, and then it kind of just becomes, second nature to you.
No, I completely agree with that. So all my life, I've been very, very introverted. And I realized the benefit, like you've said, like it's only through networking connections. You learn so much through people and you just become a better human being with different perspectives on life. So just to practice being extroverted, I actually, whenever I take flights, I always try sit alone with someone I don't know. So I always tell my mom, you can take a different seat, I'll take a different seat. It just means that whoever I'm sitting next to, I can have that small talk with them and kind of bring out a story and just practice my skills with them. So it sounds a bit cheeky, but I love it. And I love sitting next to really cool people. And when I get off that flight, I'm like telling my family and friends that I sat next to this really cool entrepreneur. I sat with this guy who's just moved to New York, and he used to work for the BBC Proms, part of the choir, and now he's a freelance saxophone player in a bar in New York, and how his life, why he did that career change. It's just interesting to hear people's perspectives on life and why they do things and the different callings they have in life. So yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, as cliche as it sounds, I found like it's proven the most successful for me, like fake it till you make it. I think in the beginning when I was an introvert and I would just act like I was completely comfortable and I was okay speaking to people. And then over time I was like, okay, I did make it because I'm not thinking about it right now. I'm not having to work so hard. It's coming naturally. I'm just surrounded by people who kind of have the same philosophy as me. So, you know, it kind of feels like a struggle in the beginning for introverts, you know, when you kind of have to put yourself out there. But eventually it'll just happen. And then you'll realize later, like, I didn't realize I was doing fake it till you make it until you look and you're like, okay, I'm actually doing this. And I'm not having to think about it. I'm not having to work for it as hard as I used to. So I think like anything else, it just comes with practice and exposure, just exposing yourself to those uncomfortable situations, because one day they will become comfortable, as hard as it may seem.
So how long is this project for? How long have you been assigned? Because you mentioned you're here for 5 months on
yes.
assignment. So what happens after? How long does the project go on for?
So this is kind of the conclusion of this stage of the project with the mentorship component of it. We are looking at moving forward with kind of the same core values of it. We want to inspire young women to go into STEM education. We kind of like the age group we're doing right now with sophomores and juniors in high school, but we would like to come at it from a different approach. So in the future, we're hoping to have international connections and kind of inspire youth across the world with mentors from different countries. So you kind of get a diverse perspective and get a little insight about what they're doing, you know, across the seas, and kind of compare the different education systems and where the students can benefit from our mentorship.
When you say mentorship, what happens as part of these programs?
So as a part of these programs, different professors and professionals in the field of STEM go to the high school and they teach different workshops. So this could be on any area of STEM, biological sciences, technology, physics, and this is in hopes to get the students interested. But my specific role in this project was to serve as their mentor. So I'm only around 3 years older than these students. So with that, I could create a connection and have them become comfortable to ask me these questions, whether it be about college life in general or, pursuing STEM specifically. I was kind of their outlet to ask those questions if they hadn't had that opportunity. So fostering these relationships served to have a really good outcome and very beneficial for these students, because it kind of takes the far out vision of when you're working with these professors. Oh, that's so far down the line. It's so complicated. I can never see myself doing that. And to have that close relationship and be so close in age, it kind of puts everything into perspective and kind of gives them a stepping stone to move forward in STEM fields in the future.
Yeah, no, it feels like because you're so close in age, it's like you have an older sister you've got an older sister with you that you can actually connect with, who's been on a similar journey and a similar path. And know that's completely fitting. As part of your day-to-day role, what other skills are necessary?
I would say definitely just keeping an open mind, because I definitely learned as much from them as I hope that they have learned from me. Throughout this whole project and working with these students, it kind of, shifted my perspective as well. Like I said before, I'm an elementary education major, so I like to do a lot of work with kids. That's what I do over the summer with younger children. But working with the older students, there was just such an opportunity to create those relationships that, quite frankly, you don't see sometimes in younger students. So I've actually shifted, for my future, and I would love to work with older students that kind of focus on secondary education as well. So I think keeping an open mind and just learning from them as well, the knowledge is reciprocated from the students to the mentor or the professor. So that's definitely one of the biggest traits and takeaways I've had from this project.
Yeah, a lot of people, we learn through conversations, and it's through that reciprocation, like you said. You learn off each other, and you're learning on the job as well. Was there anything in specific that's come up recently that really stands out in terms of a connection that you've made with someone you've been mentoring?
Yeah, I would definitely say at the end of the project, the students had a field trip to our university, and we kind of showed them around. And I was just kind of asking their feedback, what they thought, which was their favorite intervention. And I thought it was I was originally, a mentor on this project. And then I got the opportunity to actually, lead a marine biology intervention. And I thought it was just so incredible that they all had such positive feedback and that I was making a difference, because some of these students, although we live by the coast, have never been to the ocean, don't have the opportunity to explore, the great wonders that it has to offer. So I think I just opened their mind a little bit to what is so close and to appreciate what to have around them. And I've talked to around 3 students who previously, kind of wanted to go into pre-med fields or kind of focus on a different side of the biological sciences, but, open their mind and are considering pursuing some kind of marine or environmental science in the future. So just to know that I had the opportunity to make that difference with these students was incredibly rewarding.
What is the number one skill that someone would get by mentoring? What skill do you think they would get?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I think there's a laundry list of skills that you can get from being mentored and mentoring other students. I think probably empathy and compassion would be the biggest things. You just, specifically in this project, there was around 40 girls, and you're just exposed to so many different walks of life, so many different passions that, if you're not serving as a mentor, you might not necessarily see in your day-to-day life. So like I said before, it kind of opens up your perspective as well. And it changes your view on how you teach and the approach you take, and fostering those relationships aside from the academic side of things, in the project. And I just think that, I think that the mentees would also agree with that too, being exposed to the different professors and different mentors. There's just so many options, and there's no way of knowing them unless you network and connect with the other people. So I think, there's just a level of empathy and compassion that comes with having those interpersonal relationships.
I definitely think I think mentorship is just extremely important, and everyone needs a mentor in life. There are people that say, nope, I can do it myself. Google's my mentor, but truly it is the human connection. It is, you learn more through conversation, through storytelling, through someone's experiences. So I think just being very open-minded about what we're learning, and again, compassion and empathy, because we all come from different backgrounds and we've got different outlooks on life. So, I completely resonate with that.
Definitely.
So what's next steps for you? Is mentorship kind of the next step in your professional life, or would you be open to diverting to something else?
Mentorship, I think, I plan to go in education. Mm-hmm. I want to work in science education. So I'm kind of big on non-traditional education. I would like to work with homeschool students, Montessori groups, environmental education programs. And I think innately in the realm of education, there's just a large mentorship component. So I think just showing up for the students and kind of putting the students first, again, put academics to the side for a second, fostering that relationship and making sure they know that they can ask you questions, that if they're having trouble in their personal life, that you can be there for them is one of the most important things. So, wherever my career in education takes me, I will definitely carry these skills with me. It's been a big part for me. I think having mentors personally has shaped me. So I hope to continue and help shape other students like that in the future.
So I'm going to twist it a little bit. Are there any risks of having a mentor? And or is there something someone should be aware of when thinking of having a mentor, and what traits they should look out for in that person?
Right. So I definitely think, like anything, there's pros and cons. In my opinion, I think that the pros far outweigh the cons. But when having a mentor, specifically if you only have one mentor, let's say, you're only getting one perspective. You're only getting one set of experiences. So you have nothing to compare it to. I think commonly we idolize people like a mentor and we think that everything they're doing is perfect. And so you might want to follow in the exact same footsteps as that person. But I think it's also important to reflect on, their trials and tribulations, their failures, and where you could kind of steer differently. So I think a lot of the times mentorship is perceived as following exactly what someone's doing. Maybe, you want to go into the exact same career. But I think you could gain just as much from having a mentor, maybe in a different field or with a different set of interests, because you could kind of say, okay, this is not what I'm interested. How can I pivot? So I think, in order to combat that, having a diverse group of mentors, if possible, to kind of compare experiences with your own and with each other would kind of eliminate the following directly in the footsteps and kind of limiting your originality.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining me, Charlee. It was a pleasure having a chat with you about mentorship.
Thank you for having me.